Okay, so welcome back to the channel, and it is review time again, and we've got something possibly a little bit different. It fits the channel quite well. Mikr Mir 148hi Junkers W.34hi, and it's the HI version, which I'm going to refer to as the high version. Now, who would be? I'm not very up on this aircraft as far as its sub-variants, which is what these are. There's a number of different versions of this aircraft that went to different areas and it had different things. I think there's even a version with skis. Some don't have this big round aerial, some don't have this upright aerial, I presume it is. Different things like that, different engines, different all sorts of things as you go around. This is the high version. This is the version that I wanted. This is a Luftwaffe boxing, but this was used in the Spanish Civil War in a very interesting scheme. So that's what I'm going to make this one into. And it is... So I'll be doing the Spanish version. This is the correct one for that. And there's a number of different schemes, actually. We've even got the box schemes, which is a sort of straight up pre-war Luftwaffe one, if you will. And then a wartime version. They even appeared in Spain like this, I believe, early on. So, typical stuff. You've got to think of this as a short run kit, however it's probably a bit better than that. It's kind of in between like an Edward Profi pack and a special hobby short run kit. So a little bit of breakdown of what's what there. We've also got the parts breakdown, which is just there like that, and you can see what we've got. We've also got photo etch and 3D decals, as well as masks for the canopy. And there is the printout showing the two versions that we get in this one. And as part of that, we've got the decal sheet, which is on white backing paper, so it makes it quite hard to see what's what here. But you can, if you hold it right, you can see where the carrier film is. It's very tight into the crosses, and then these are just rectangular blocks here. Well, I mean, they look very good. I've got no idea how they fare up. Oh yes, I do. They're Decograph from Ukraine. I've used these before. They're quite good. A lot of the Ukrainian companies, there's a whole group of companies coming out of Ukraine. Mikr Mir's one, you've got Dora Wings, you've got AMG, anyone else like that. There's, forget the Armory. All of these, there's loads of them all there in one place, all sending out similar types of kits. So there's the 3D decal there, which is very much of current kind of times. It's a popular thing at the minute. So it's got the raised... It's like a raised decal. I can feel that quite heavily, actually. Edward are doing these. You've also got another company I've forgotten the name of doing it. There's Quinta Studios is doing it, and these look very nice. And probably one of those companies has done this for. So you've got a ROM02 instrument panel there, glazing over the bezels. See that? And you can see just quite how raised it is. So we'll be giving that a go. It makes things a little bit different. That's why I like these kits. They are expensive. I think this is £46. See, you know, could seem a lot. There you get the mask set there, which is pre-cut, which is Orma mask, which is very nice. Very small piece of photo etch, just dealing with a few bits and pieces here and there. They've obviously given us a lot of it on the 3D decal sheet. And then there's the swastikas being made up there, and the logos. So as I say, you can definitely make an argument for this being an expensive kit. However, this is a 1/48 injection molded JU34, so you know you gotta add that one in there as well. So making up the cockpit, there's not a lot going on. It's a two-seater aircraft up front, so you've got two chairs essentially, although they are seats. You've got the instrument panel, two sets of rudder pedals, and two sets of joysticks, the kind of those ones. And then we've got the engine going on, so it's two-piece on the cylinder heads. And then we've got the tubing going on and the exhaust going on as well. And then that's housed inside a cowling. So you're not going to see any of the join around there. And then we've got the rest of it going on, making up the front portion of the aircraft. And then we're going to make up the fuselage by the side walls and the lower section with it's sort of an internal floor here. And then we've got the cockpit wall, which is a bulkhead going in there, making up the cockpit, and then we've got a few more bulkheads going through along the back, some windows going in, and then we've got a roof. Quite hard to see there, apologies. We've got a roof and the other side going in. It looks like the windows are coming in from the outside, which is a good thing. And then the main wing goes on as well. We've got a wing spar there, which should help line everything up. And then wing on to the fuselage, canopy on, cowling on, engine on, tailplane on. Job's done. Let's hope it's as easy as that. So we get one big bag of sprues, which is not unusual for this type of thing. Now I had a look. This is another Christmas Day arrival. I've had a look ahead of time and noticed something quite interesting, which just goes to show, you know, this isn't just pumped out with no fault. This is what I like about it, right? They've tried to do something clever, which I get. You've got to bear in mind there is corrugated sections just like the Ju-52 all over this plane. So they've tried to make life as easy as possible where they can to try and get rid of joins. And they've moulded the horizontal stabiliser in one piece, both sides, right? You've also got this part. And I thought, wow, okay, is there two sections? Is there two different types, two different variants? No. And I also noticed something on here that was rather disappointing, is extremely large sink marks around where these holes are, which I think is for the bracing that goes back to the fuselage. What they've done is realised there are sink marks coming out in this piece and split it and given you a new section, so that you then have to glue the part. So, you know, you've got to deal with the leading edge and the trailing edge, but you don't have the sink marks. So that is pretty good in my book. I'm quite impressed by that. So that's what, you know, that's the way you'll be going. Otherwise, you know, how on earth are you going to fill that? Whether it matters because it's going to be underneath the aircraft, but there's also sort of sinking marks at the front there as well. So I think that's a nice touch. Now, as we go over, obviously the main point of concern is going to be the corrugation that's going over it all. Not easy to pick up on the camera, but it is very, very well done. There's minimal flash, which is obviously what you get on short run kits. The trailing edges there on these elevators is almost sharp, as in, you know, to cut you. It's that good. So that looks okay there. We've got sort of internals and things like that aren't going to be too much of a problem. A little bit of flash around there, but that's to be expected. We've got the same corrugation going all the way down the sides here and on this section underneath. So obviously what we want to try, I have looked at it, is it Cosford or Hendon? Cosford, I think, where they've got the Ju-52, and it's really quite rough around the edges, around the leading edges where these corrugations join in. It's just hammered in. So, you know, you don't need to worry too much. Some of it's flattened off, some of it isn't. So I've always been put off thinking, you know, how do you have to rescribe all of that? No, you don't. You don't need to worry. It's not that much of a problem. Now, on that point, when we get round to the wings, where we do have a leading edge, it's nicely curved to get the curve of the wing there, which is quite considerable. And then you get these sections that will join on inside it like that. So inside that trailing edge lip, and then you go on and you'll get a nice sharp joint. And this is the bit I'm talking about. So that leading edge, you know, I wouldn't come in there and sand that flat, etc. What I will be doing is very sparing with the glue. Possibly even use a different glue, not Tamiya Extra Thin. Don't want to melt that. You just want to get a nice join, and then sort of we don't want any glue spilling out. And if you do use the old Tamiya Extra Thin, you might get a bead of plastic there, which would be a bit of a pain. But these are extremely well moulded, no problem whatsoever with the detail. And I mean, what an unusual aircraft to have in the collection. This is where we're getting to now. This is what I'm saying. You know, we're getting some real kits coming out now that you just really wouldn't have ever thought you'd see. So being a Junkers aircraft, it's very much like Ju-52 and Stuka and that sort of thing. So you've got very long kind of ailerons and flaps at the same time. It's a bit odd. It's a very, goes around the edge of the wing tip as well. Got the rudder and the vertical stabilizer, is it? No, because it's called the fin. And then we've got the large plate there as well, which is going to go under, and it's going to go in between the two wings, actually, the lower portion. And then that joins up into the lower part of the fuselage. It's going to be an interesting build for sure. I mean, I don't think it's going to be massively easy, but I don't think it presents a huge amount of problems at the same time either. There's the large wing spar. It's a very sturdy piece of plastic, so that should do the job in holding all of that together. And then we've got the finer details of stuff that isn't corrugated, which is quite nice. And so we've got the engine there with the cylinder heads, as you can see. Everything's nicely rendered. There is, I suppose the detail's a little bit soft, but this is the rear face of the engine that's going to be inside a cowling. So, I mean, you know, do we need to worry? Probably not. We've got two-piece wheels. So obviously they're, you know, back to basics there. May even see, no, they look pretty unique to me. But, you know, sound a tread down like it's been out for a few times. That's going to be a little bit tricky if we've got to get all those bars out, which I think we do. Yep. So this piece is going to need to be unclipped from there very carefully. But you do get this in short run. It's no surprise, any of this. And there we go. I mean, any parts you can replace with sort of metal tubing or plasticard, you tend to do because it's easier than cleaning up the bits from the sprue if you can. And then we got the clear part. So from what I can tell, and I'm not sure why, it may become clear later on, we've got two sprues of clear plastic. Now, as far as short run goes, that is pretty good. In fact, it's very good. Now, I believe that this does a butt join onto the front there, and then some of these side windows butt join onto that as well. So, I mean, you're going to need to be a bit careful there. It's not for the faint-hearted, this kit. But it's going to make for a very nice and unusual model in the display. And that's why I've got it. So we will be building this, and it will be a video, because it's the sort of thing I just like the audacity of filming a model build video with this thing. I think, why not? You know, no one else is going to have it up there, and it's the sort of thing that both amuses me and frightens me at the same time. So now we've had a look at that. That's the kit. I think, you know, a challenging model, but it's all there. Could be a lot worse. It's pretty good as far as short run companies go, and I'm looking forward to giving it a go, getting inside and getting this one in the collection. Now I thought as we're here, we'll have a look at some of the schemes. And by that I mean the Spanish schemes. Now, this once was a kind of Bible of mine. It has since turned out, once getting more into the Spanish Civil War, it's actually not a very, not a very good book. Well, it's a good book, but you've got to kind of piece things together. There's a bit of misinformation all the way through this, and it seems as though it wasn't particularly released in the way it should be, as far as where some of this content has come from. But nevertheless, it's one in the collection, and it does have quite an extensive, well, I say extensive, it's got a few pictures of the Junkers that we're talking about. He says, I think I would have bookmarked this, wouldn't you? Definitely has it there, so there we go. So what we've got is two of them there. So this one is in what's known as Hell Grey, or Hellgrau, or ROM 63. And then this is the early scheme. So this is 63, 61 and 62. It's got white wingtips, and it's got obviously the Condor roundel there. Now I was going to go for one of these because I think I can get those masks cut one way or another. Reasonably simple for the markings there. The roundels are easy enough to do, and painting on means we don't have to worry about decals over the corrugation. So this is the Junkers W.34hi. So we've got one there, and it was used as a light transport aircraft. And so we've got some that are in overall grey, and then this is the one with the splinter scheme, which is quite interesting, as you can see. Very jagged, goes out onto the wings as well. We've even got some here. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I'm not certain whether you can believe any of this, because coming to it's a bit contentious, but it's saying here that some of these are even used for weather forecasting. And this is the one here, which has actually got the goniometer antenna and the relative anemometer mounted on a long support on the flight flank. One interesting thing that they do in Spain, because they were in a desert and because it was so windy, they tied bombs down to anchor the planes. There's a picture of a Stuka with a great big 250-pound bomb tied to its tail wheel. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? So yeah, there we go. We then got another couple over here as well, as you can see. So there's no disputing that. It looks like there were 7 that went over there, but it's whether what these captions say is correct is what I'm saying as far as the book's concerned. But this is another one as well, 7. So all the numbering goes up consecutively. So it's 43, then you get the black dot, and then it's 1 to 7. So there'd be 7 possibly. Might be 6. You can't always trust it because something happens. Sometimes they crash and they carry the number on. They don't give the number the replacement. But it definitely looks like there's about 5 or 6 that were there. So there's a lot of options, and that's one that I'll be doing. Looks like a black cowling, or maybe even ROM 70, probably, knowing the Germans. 2-blade prop, which I didn't check, but yeah, that's right. So yeah, there we are. We're good to go. We can even go as far as having all the guff on the top as well with the aerials, like I said. So interesting stuff. It's always nice to have a bit of research backing it up, and it's going to be an interesting project. So there we go. The Junkers W.34hi variant from Mikr Mir in 1/48 scale. Not something we ever thought we'd see. Very glad to see it. Very glad it's there. Looking forward to building it, and I'll bring it to the channel as soon as it's ready to go. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.